Haim is an Australian multidisciplinary design practice, and we're made up of architects, urban designers, planners, interior designers and landscape architects. We work across many areas, including workplace, health, education, research and science settings, just to name a few. I am part of a large research team trying to understand the impact of the built environment on our sensory comfort.
So today we are at the Hobsons Bay Civic Centre, which is the workplace and headquarters of the Hobsons Bay City Council. The City of Hobsons Bay is a local government area located in Melbourne's inner west. It is a very diverse local government area and includes everything from bayside residential suburbs to coastal and wetland reserves to large-scale industrial and manufacturing lots. The Civic Centre itself is located on parklands, a short walk from Cherry Lake, which is to the north, and about a 10-minute walk to Altona Beach, which is to the south.
In a previous life, we discovered that 18% of Australia's population is neurodiverse. And underlying many neurodiversities is a heightened sensory response. It is likely that 18% of Australia's population is therefore going to have a heightened sensory response to our surroundings. At Haim, our goal is to understand the sensory profile makeup of our knowledge worker population using a diagnostic tool developed by distinguished Professor Winnie Dunn from the University of Missouri. We set out to achieve 1,000 sensory profiles. So far, we have achieved 932 across 6 different organisations. And the results are mind-blowing and far exceed the original 18% we had assumed.
The industries that we've looked at to date have included government, design and architecture, finance, vehicle manufacturing, dairy production and distribution. We've surveyed almost 1,000 responses to date, and 4 out of 6 businesses identified as being of the avoider sensory profile, which means that those people are more likely to actively avoid the amount of sensory information in their environment. So they might seek out a quiet location to reduce the noise or to use, for example, noise-cancelling headphones.
One such organisation had a heightened sensory response of 50%, and that was our lowest out of the 6 organisations. Another organisation had a heightened sensory response of 89%. This is suggesting that sensory design in our built environment is more important than ever.
Sensory design interventions are tools designers can implement when designing environments for sensory comfort. Sensory surveys give an indication of where a person may sit on the sensory profile and can relate to the type of setting a person may feel most comfortable with. And individuals can fluctuate between feeling overreactive and underreactive. Designing workplaces for sensory comfort and inclusiveness comes from understanding how the environment impacts on our sensory experience.
Of particular interest to me has been the alignment of our findings with the recommendations made in the Royal Commission report into mental health systems and research conducted by both Melbourne University and La Trobe Universities into design features that reduce the use of seclusion and restraint in mental health facilities. At this stage, the evidence is anecdotal, but the correlations are there. For instance, the Royal Commission report recommends supporting employers to make people's mental health better at work, supporting them while at work, and being inclusive at work, providing better health services that meet people's individual needs and giving individuals greater choice and control. Services that don't keep people away from others, stop people from moving and doing what they want. Services that support without discrimination and are inclusive. Further to this, the co-authored study by Melbourne and La Trobe Universities found preliminary evidence that physical environments has a role in supporting the reduction of seclusion and restraint in mental health facilities, allowing the individual to better recognise and self-manage their state of well-being. Some simple environmental design interventions noted in the study include good lighting and ventilation, access to natural light, free access to move around, environmental wayfinding, sensory comfort spaces, private, uncrowded and calm spaces, open air spaces such as courtyards, multimodal spaces that have controllable environments, and culturally appropriate spaces.
A holistic approach considers a setting, the surrounds, the arrival and approach, quality of light, textures and colours, sound, air quality and smells, temperature and sight lines and views, privacy and connection, and tools for task enabling. Besides the richness and variety of task settings and a culture that enables choice, workplaces that promote wellness and wellness practices such as movement, hydration, respite and regenerate, teamed with a biophilic environment, can provide further incentive for workplace engagement. One of the key factors to provide comfort besides choice and permission is personal control, how a person can curate their experience for comfort and to what level.
The CEO of Hobsons Bay, Aaron Van Egmond, he asked his design team to create a workplace environment that was inclusive, including the important neurodiverse group of people.
Prior to the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, the council wanted to explore agile working. Instead of focusing solely on shared desks and support spaces like you would in a more traditional agile model, it was decided that council would pursue a workplace model that was based primarily on comfort and sensory-based working. The overarching principle of this model is quite straightforward, and that is that any staff member can choose where to sit based off of the tasks they're completing and their comfort levels. The first step to achieving this was to conduct an all-staff survey to determine individual staff's sensory profiles as well as the sensory demographics happening within council. 3 main design principles were adopted for council's new workplace. The first is that there would be no designated desks for staff. Staff are free to work from a variety of open and enclosed work points as well as collaborative settings. The second is that the workplace should be designed with a variety of modes, so a mixture of high intensity and low intensity zones. And finally, sensory design interventions should be introduced into the workplace. So these interventions took on a number of different forms and were tailored specifically to suit council's needs.
Here at the Hobsons Bay City Council offices, there are a couple of standout exemplars of multimodal sensory spaces, such as the Danger Zone, a high stimulation multimodal space, the Library, a low stimulation space, a community access hub, a welcoming and socially engaging space, the Sensory Room, a warm and welcoming space that supports wellness and cultural diversity, the collaboration spaces that are dotted throughout the fit-out, supporting small gatherings and greater team collaboration, and the Parents' Room, supporting inclusiveness and privacy.
Focus rooms were constructed throughout the workplace. These rooms give people control over the amount of acoustic and visual stimulation they are exposed to. The ability to close a door on a space has also been shown to have a positive impact on some people's levels of psychological comfort and safety. The focus rooms in the Civic Centre all have a soft, more neutral internal palette, as well as controllable wall lighting that allows them to provide more of a low stimulation work setting. The boardwalk is a major circulation in the workplace, and it connects the 2 major sites landmarks, so Cherry Lake to the north and Altona Beach to the south. It is an active circulation zone and it has various collaboration settings along its path. It also contains a narrower pathway known as the river. The river connects the internal water features of the space. Both of these elements encourage users to reflect and find their equilibrium through movement, so by following the pathways that they create through the space. As the existing floor plate of the building is quite large and sprawling, it was decided that visual landmarks would be required to help people navigate through the space. Visually distinct meeting and services pods were strategically placed throughout the space. The materiality of the pods differs and reflects the diversity of the broader Hobsons Bay community. There's a meeting room surrounded by a shallow pool that references the bay and the wetlands and lakes. There are pods that were designed in line with the historic architecture in the Bayside neighbourhoods. And there are pods that represent the industrial nature of the local area. So pods that have integrated or made to look like the materiality of some of those lots, and pods that are constructed with locally sourced recycled bricks.
What is important to remember through all this is that in order to maximise the potential for change, innovation and determining good design outcomes is consumer co-design or user involvement. Use of analytical tools such as sensory profiling and understanding the lived experience and relationships of the individual, staff, co-workers, family and the community.
It's important to note that participants from each study have actively or passively used strategies to process their environment, to perhaps aid concentration, focus on the task at hand, and to adjust their comfort levels. The research has led us to understand that we fit within sensory profile, regardless of whether we're neurodiverse or neurotypical. So it will be incredibly important to continue our research and to contribute to more design interventions.
People with autism are overrepresented in unemployment figures. By creating more comfortable work environments, I believe we can have a positive impact on employment participation. And with increased employment participation, perhaps we can come up as a society with ideas which are innovative or new that we thought would never be possible before.
Thank you.